A wedding ring that exposes a scandalous betrayal. What would you do if your perfect marriage hid a devastating secret? In a Chicago hotel, Michael hands over his ring, ready to unveil his wife Sophia's shocking deception. Hearts race. Trust shatters. A single gesture sparks a jaw-dropping revelation. The truth will leave you speechless. But what happens next? It's even wilder. Stick around for the ultimate twist. Caleb, a 35-year-old architect from Chicago, lived a life that seemed flawless. He and his wife Sophia, a 32-year-old marketing specialist, shared a home in Oak Park. They planned weekends by Lake Michigan, supported each other's careers, and laughed over shared dreams. Caleb prized trust above all, certain their bond was unshakable. Sophia's quick wit and vibrant energy balanced his methodical nature. To friends and family, they were the perfect couple, always aligned, always building a future together. Their life felt like a carefully crafted blueprint, solid and secure, with no visible cracks. But something was stirring beneath the surface, and Caleb was about to uncover it. Their 10th wedding anniversary was nearing, and Sophia suggested a romantic getaway to a sleek hotel in downtown Chicago, right by the river. Caleb, swamped with project deadlines, hesitated but agreed, seeing how much it meant to her. He wanted to rekindle the spark that their demanding schedules had dimmed. They checked in on a Friday evening, the city's skyline glowing outside their window. At the hotel restaurant, they toasted to their years together, the clink of glasses echoing their shared history. Caleb felt a surge of hope, watching Sophia smile as they reminisced about their early days, their first apartment, and the promises they'd made. But something felt off. Sophia kept glancing at her phone, her fingers tapping nervously on the table. When Caleb asked about her latest campaign at work, her answers were short, her eyes darting away. He brushed it aside, blaming her long hours, but a flicker of unease settled in. Later, she excused herself to take a call, saying it was a colleague. Caleb stayed at the table, sipping his wine, but he caught her voice through the glass door, soft, intimate, not the brisk tone she used for work. His stomach twisted. He told himself it was nothing, just stress, but the doubt lingered, sharp and persistent, like a splinter he couldn't ignore. The next morning, Sophia was up early, already dressed when Caleb woke. She said she needed a walk by the river to clear her head. He nodded, but her hurried exit left him unsettled. Alone in the room, he opened their shared banking app to check their trip budget. That's when he saw it, a charge for a room at another hotel in the same chain, dated 2 weeks earlier. They hadn't stayed there together. His heart raced as he scrolled further. Another charge, same hotel, a month ago. His mind churned with questions. Why would she book a room without telling him? What was she hiding? He stared at the screen, his hands trembling as the weight of suspicion pressed down on him. Back in Oak Park, Caleb watched Sophia closely. She acted normal, cooking dinner, asking about his day, but her phone was never far. She'd glance at it, smile faintly, then set it down when she caught him looking. Each time, his unease grew heavier, like a storm building inside him. One evening, while she was in the shower, he checked their bank statements again. More charges, same hotel, multiple dates over the past 3 months. Each transaction hit like a punch. He sat in the dark living room, gripping the armrest, his mind racing. Confront her now, or wait for solid proof? He needed to know, but the fear of what he'd find held him back. Caleb decided to act. The next day, he told Sophia he had a late client meeting and left work early. He drove to the hotel from the bank charges, a glass tower in the loop. Parking across the street, he waited, his hands sweaty on the steering wheel. Hours dragged by, each minute fueling his dread. His mind replayed their years together. Their wedding, their late-night talks, the plans they'd made. How could it come to this? Then he saw her, Sophia, walking toward the hotel entrance, her steps quick and purposeful. His chest tightened as she disappeared inside, alone for now. He gripped the wheel harder, fighting the urge to storm in. He needed answers, and he was determined to get them, no matter the cost. Caleb sat in his car across from the hotel, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. Sophia had vanished into the glass tower in Chicago's Loop, her quick steps betraying a purpose she hadn't shared with him. His heart pounded as he watched the entrance, every second stretching into eternity. He wanted to storm in, demand answers, but something held him back. He needed proof, something undeniable, before confronting her. The bank charges, multiple stays at this hotel over months, burned in his mind. Each one was a stab, a betrayal of the trust he'd built their marriage on. He took a deep breath, forcing himself to stay calm. He had to be sure. He waited, eyes locked on the hotel doors. Nearly an hour passed before he saw movement. Sophia emerged, but she wasn't alone. A man, tall and polished in a sharp suit, walked beside her. They paused at the entrance, their heads close, her hand brushing his arm. Caleb's chest tightened, his breath catching as he watched them exchange a glance. Intimate, familiar. It wasn't just a colleague or friend. The way she smiled at him, the ease in their stance, told Caleb everything he didn't want to know. His world tilted. This was no suspicion anymore. It was real. He fumbled for his phone, snapping a quick photo as they stepped into a cab together, unaware of his presence. Driving home, Caleb's mind raced. The image of Sophia with that man looped in his head, each replay cutting deeper. He thought of their wedding, her vows, the life they planned. How long had she been lying? Why? He pulled into their Oak Park driveway, the house dark and quiet. Sophia wasn't home yet. She'd texted about a late work meeting. Another lie. He sat at the kitchen table, staring at the photo on his phone. The evidence was clear, but it didn't ease the ache. He needed to confront her, but not out of anger. He wanted the truth, and he wanted her to admit it. Caleb spent the night sleepless, replaying every moment of their marriage for signs he'd missed. Sophia's late nights, her sudden need for space, her guarded phone. It all made sense now. By morning, he made a decision. He wouldn't lash out. He'd give her a chance to come clean, but on his terms. He took off his wedding ring, the metal cold in his hand, and placed it on the kitchen counter with a note. I know. Explain. The words were simple, but they carried the weight of 10 years. He left for work, his heart heavy but his resolve firm. He'd wait for her response. When Caleb returned home that evening, Sophia was waiting. She sat at the kitchen table, the ring and note in front of her. Her face was pale, her eyes red from crying. She looked up as he entered, her expression a mix of fear and guilt. Caleb, she started, her voice trembling, I'm so sorry. He stood still, arms crossed, waiting. She took a shaky breath. It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen. Her words spilled out fast, like she'd rehearsed them. It's a colleague. It started as nothing, just talking, but it went too far. I was lost, feeling stuck, and I didn't know how to tell you. Caleb's jaw tightened. Stuck? With me? With our life. His voice was low, controlled, but the hurt was clear. Sophia looked down, twisting her hands. Not you, she said. It was me. I felt like I was losing myself. And he was there. It was wrong. I know that now. Caleb shook his head, her words hollow. You lied to me, Sophia. For months. You let me believe we were fine while you were with him. She flinched, tears falling. I wanted to stop, she whispered. I love you, Caleb. I do. I messed up. He stepped back, needing space. Her apology didn't erase the betrayal. How long, he asked. She hesitated, then admitted, for months. The number hit like a blow. For months of lies, of secret hotel rooms, of her choosing someone else. Caleb turned away, his hands shaking. I need time, he said, his voice cold. Don't follow me. He grabbed his keys and left. The image of her tear-streaked face burned into his mind. He drove aimlessly, the city lights blurring past, grappling with the reality that his marriage might be over. By the next morning, Caleb had a plan. He wouldn't let anger consume him. He'd handle this the right way, calm, legal, fair. He called a divorce attorney, scheduling a consultation. Then he contacted a therapist, knowing he needed help to process the pain. He wasn't ready to forgive, but he wouldn't let Sophia's betrayal define him. He wanted answers, closure, and a way forward. The truth was out, but the real fight was just beginning. Caleb drove through Chicago's neon-lit streets. the hum of the city drowned out by the storm in his head. Sophia's confession, 4 months of lies, a secret affair, cut deeper with every mile. His hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles pale, as he replayed her words. It was a mistake. A mistake? The word felt like an insult to their 10 years together. He pulled over by the Chicago River, its dark water reflecting the city's glow, and stared out, trying to anchor himself. How could the woman he trusted, the one he built a life with, do this? He wanted to confront her again, demand every detail, but knew it wouldn't heal the wound. He needed to stay focused, to find a way forward without letting anger consume him. Back in Oak Park, Caleb entered their quiet house. Sophia sat in the kitchen, the wedding ring and his note, "I know." "Explain," still on the counter. Her eyes were red, her face drawn as she looked up. "Caleb, can we talk?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He shook his head, his jaw tight. "I heard enough last night," he said. "Your apologies don't change what you did." He grabbed a jacket and headed to the guest room, locking the door behind him. Her footsteps followed, hesitating outside, then fading. He lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, her confession looping in his mind. Sleep didn't come. He needed more than her words. He needed proof, something to make sense of the betrayal. The next morning, Caleb called Ethan, a friend in cybersecurity, and met him at a diner in the Loop. Over black coffee, he spilled everything. The hotel charges, the photo of Sophia with another man, her tearful admission. Ethan's face hardened. "You need hard evidence," he said. "Something a lawyer can use." He offered to dig into Sophia's public social media and cross-reference hotel records, as long as Caleb could provide access to her email or accounts legally. Caleb hesitated. It felt like crossing a line, but her betrayal had already shattered boundaries. "Do it cleanly," he said. "No hacking." Ethan nodded, promising to stay within legal limits. Over the next few days, Caleb kept his distance from Sophia. She tried to act normal, leaving coffee on the counter, sending texts about dinner, but he couldn't look at her without seeing her with that man. At work, he buried himself in blueprints, but the pain followed, a constant ache. Ethan called on Wednesday with findings. He'd found public posts where Sophia checked into the hotel with vague captions like "quick getaway." He also uncovered a deleted email thread she'd forwarded to herself, mentioning late meetings at odd hours with someone named David. "One more thing," Ethan added. "David's married. His wife has no idea." Caleb's stomach churned. Sophia wasn't just betraying him. She was entangled in another man's marriage. The revelation made her actions feel even uglier. He thanked Ethan, his mind racing with next steps. Confronting her again would only bring more excuses. Instead, he met with his divorce attorney, Lisa, a no-nonsense woman with a reputation for clean cases. He showed her the bank statements, the photo, and Ethan's findings. "This is solid," Lisa said, scanning the documents. "We can file for divorce and protect your assets. If you want, we can also report her workplace conduct. Her affair with a colleague likely violates their ethics policy." Caleb nodded, but the legal terms felt distant. This wasn't just a case. It was his life unraveling. That evening, Sophia tried again to bridge the gap. She caught in the hallway, her eyes desperate. "Caleb, I ended it," she said, her voice cracking. "I told David it's over. I want us to fix this." Caleb's gaze was cold. "You ended it because I caught you," he said. "How do I trust a word you say?" She reached for his hand, but he stepped back. "I'm filing for divorce," he said, the words heavy but final. Her face crumpled, tears streaming down. "Please, Caleb, we can work through this," she begged. "You broke us, Sophia," he said, turning away. "Not me." He walked to the guest room, her sobs echoing behind him, each one a reminder of what was lost. Caleb's first therapy session came that week with Dr. Patel, a calm, insightful woman. He poured out his anger, his hurt, the betrayal that consumed every thought. "I trusted her completely," he said, his voice breaking. "Now I question everything. Our marriage, myself." Dr. Patel listened, then asked, "What do you want from this? Revenge or peace?" The question struck deep. Revenge was tempting, exposing Sophia's affair to her colleagues. ruining her reputation. But that wasn't him. He wanted justice, not destruction. He left the session with a new goal: handle this the right way, legally, fairly, and for his own healing. The fight was far from over, but Caleb was ready to face it on his terms. Caleb sat in Dr. Patel's office, his hands clasped tightly, the weight of Sophia's betrayal still pressing on him. Her confession, the hotel charges, the photo of her with David, it all swirled in his mind, a relentless storm. "I want to move forward," he told Dr. Patel, his voice steady but raw. "But how do I trust again?" She nodded, her eyes calm. "Trust starts with you," she said. "Focus on what you can control, your choices, your healing." Her words stuck with him. He didn't want to be defined by anger or pain. He wanted justice, but not revenge. That meant handling this cleanly, legally, and for himself. Back home, Caleb avoided Sophia. She tried to reach out, leaving notes, cooking his favorite meals, but each gesture felt hollow. He slept in the guest room, the silence between them deafening. One evening, she cornered him in the kitchen. "Caleb, I'm trying," she said, her voice breaking. "I know I hurt you, but I'm begging for a chance." He looked at her, the woman he once loved, now a stranger. "You had chances," he said, his tone cold. "Every day you lied was a choice." Her eyes filled with tears, but he walked away, his resolve hardening. He couldn't let her guilt sway him. Caleb met with his attorney, Lisa, again. She laid out the divorce plan, filed based on infidelity, used the bank statements and photo as evidence, and pushed for a fair split of assets. Sophia's affair with a colleague could also be reported to her company's HR, Lisa said. It violates their ethics code. Caleb hesitated. Reporting her felt personal, almost vengeful, but it was also about accountability. "Do it," he said finally, "but make it official, not anonymous." Lisa nodded, drafting a formal complaint citing the affair's impact on workplace integrity. Caleb felt a flicker of relief. He was taking action, not just reacting. He also dug deeper with Ethan's help. Ethan found more public posts from Sophia, check-ins at the hotel with cryptic captions like "needed this." He also uncovered an email she'd sent to David, confirming a private meeting at the hotel. It was enough to strengthen Caleb's case. He forwarded everything to Lisa, who said it solidified their position. "You're doing this right," she told him, staying above board. Caleb nodded, but the legal winds didn't ease the ache. He needed more than papers to heal. He needed to rebuild himself. Therapy became his anchor. In his next session, Caleb admitted to Dr. Patel, "I keep imagining confronting David, making him feel what I feel." She leaned forward. "Confronting him might feel good for a moment, but it won't fix you. Focus on what builds you up." He took her advice, signing up for a weekend hiking group to clear his head. The trails outside Chicago, with their quiet forests, gave him space to think. He started journaling, pouring out his anger and hurt, each word a step toward clarity. He wasn't just a betrayed husband. He was Caleb, and he'd define his future. At home, Sophia's attempts to reconnect grew desperate. One night, she left a letter on his desk, begging for forgiveness, promising she'd ended things with David. "I love you," she wrote. "I was lost, but I see it now." Caleb read it, his heart twisting. Part of him wanted to believe her, to salvage something, but the lies were too deep. He tucked the letter away, not ready to respond. Instead, he called Lisa, confirming the divorce filing. "I want this done fast," he said. She assured him the papers would be ready soon, with evidence ensuring a strong case. Caleb also contacted Sophia's HR department himself, submitting the complaint about her affair with David. He included the email evidence and a timeline, keeping it professional. He didn't want to destroy her, but her choices had consequences. Days later, Sophia came home shaken. "They're investigating me at work," she said, her voice trembling. "Did you do this?" Caleb met her gaze. "You did this, Sophia. I just made sure it wasn't hidden." She stood frozen, then nodded, accepting the weight of her actions. For the first time, Caleb felt a shift. Not peace, but power in choosing truth over chaos. His therapy and hiking gave him clarity. Dr. Patel pushed him to focus on his values. Honesty, strength, growth. You're not just surviving this, she said. You're rebuilding. Caleb started to see it. He wasn't the man who'd sat in his car, watching Sophia betray him. He was choosing his path, step by step, and he wouldn't let her choices define him. The divorce was moving forward, and so was he, determined to find peace on the other side. Caleb stood in his new apartment in Evanston, boxes stacked around him, the Chicago skyline visible through the window. The divorce papers were signed, and the process, though painful, was over. Lisa, his attorney, had secured a fair split of assets, using the evidence of Sophia's infidelity to strengthen his case. The bank statements, the photo, and Ethan's findings had painted a clear picture, leaving Sophia little room to contest. Caleb felt a quiet relief. Not joy, but a sense of closure. He'd fought for justice without sinking to vengeance, and that choice grounded him. Sophia faced the fallout of her actions. Her company's HR investigation confirmed her affair with David violated their ethics code. She was let go, her reputation in the marketing world tarnished. David, too, faced consequences. His wife, alerted by the investigation, left him. Sophia called Caleb once, her voice heavy with regret. I didn't realize how much I'd lose, she said. He listened, but didn't respond. Her words couldn't undo the past. She was alone now, grappling with the wreckage of her choices, and Caleb felt no need to add to her burden. Therapy with Dr. Patel became Caleb's lifeline. You've taken back control, she said in their last session. What's next for you? Caleb thought about it. He'd started hiking regularly, finding solace in the trails outside Chicago. He'd also joined a support group for betrayed spouses, where he shared his story and listened to others. It wasn't about dwelling on pain, but learning from it. He spoke up one night, his voice steady. I thought trust was gone forever, but I'm learning it starts with trusting myself. The group nodded, and Caleb felt a spark of hope. He threw himself into work, landing a new project, designing a community center. The work gave him purpose, a chance to create something lasting. He also started running, the rhythm of his steps on Lake Michigan's paths clearing his mind. One morning, at a coffee shop near his apartment, he met Anna, a graphic designer with a warm smile. They talked for hours, her honesty refreshing. She didn't push, didn't pry, but her presence felt like a new beginning. They exchanged numbers, and Caleb left feeling lighter than he had in months. Sophia, meanwhile, was rebuilding too. She wrote Caleb a final letter, left in his mailbox with no return address. I'm sorry for the pain I caused, it read. I'm in therapy, trying to understand why I threw us away. I hope you find happiness. Caleb read it, then set it aside. He didn't hate her anymore. Her regret was real, but it belonged to her now. She had joined a support group, he heard through a mutual friend, and was focusing on her own growth. It wasn't redemption, but it was a start. Caleb's life took shape in Evanston. He furnished his apartment simply, each piece a choice for his new chapter. Anna became a steady presence, their coffee dates turning into walks and dinners. She valued openness, and Caleb found himself sharing his story without shame. You're stronger for it, she said one night, her hand on his. He believed her. Trust, once shattered, was slowly rebuilding, not just in her, but in himself. He learned to spot lies, to value honesty above all. One evening, Caleb stood by Lake Michigan, the water calm under the setting sun. He thought of Sophia, of the ring he'd left on the counter, of the pain that had nearly broken him. But he hadn't broken. He'd chosen to fight for himself, through therapy, through the divorce, through small steps toward healing. The support group had taught him he wasn't alone, and it showed him love could be honest. He looked at the horizon, feeling not just peace, but strength. I'm enough, he said aloud, the words a promise to himself. Sophia's journey was quieter. She moved to a small apartment in the suburbs, away from their old life. Her support group helped her face her mistakes, and she started volunteering, finding purpose in helping others. She thought of Caleb often, not with hope of reconciliation, but with respect for the man he was. Her choices had cost her everything, but they'd also forced her to grow. She'd never undo the past, but she could live better now. Caleb, in his new life, had found the justice he sought, not in her downfall, but in his own rise.